90% of businesses fail. You've heard that stat 1,000 times and it still hasn't stopped you, has it? Good. Because that stat is lying to you anyway. It's not bad ideas killing businesses. It's the stuff nobody warns you about before you start. The stuff that blindsides you when you least expect it. So before you sink your savings, your time, your sanity into this, stick around. I'm about to tell you exactly what's coming, so it doesn't take you by surprise the way it took everyone else. Here's where it usually starts. Someone sees a post, quit your job, follow your passion, the money will follow, and it feels like permission. It feels like freedom. And look, I get why it spreads, because it sounds incredible. But nobody shows you the 18 months before that overnight success post got written. Nobody shows the savings account creeping towards zero. Nobody shows the nights spent doing rent math in your head at 1 in the morning. That part never makes it into the caption. Because starting a business isn't romantic. It's humbling. It's going to expose every weak spot you didn't know you had. Your discipline, your patience, your relationship with money, and especially your ego. And here's the part that catches people off guard. You're going to be bad at this for a while. Not because you're not smart, just because nobody's born knowing how to sell, market, price, negotiate, or lead. You learn all of it by doing it badly first, in public, with real money on the line. That's the first wall most people hit, the gap between watching someone build a business and actually building one. You can binge 100 videos, read every book, take every course. Yes, I know the irony of saying that in a video. And none of it prepares you for the specific feeling of sending an invoice and just waiting, wondering if you'll ever get paid. That feeling only teaches itself by happening to you. Then there's motivation, which is honestly one of the biggest liars in this whole process. It shows up loud in week 1, when everything feels new and exciting, and then it quietly leaves the room right around the time you actually need it. Month 3, month 4, when the novelty's worn off but the results haven't shown up yet. That's exactly when most people quit. Not because the business failed, because they stopped believing in it before it had a real chance to work. There's no thumbnail for "I sat at my desk for 6 hours, felt nothing, and kept going anyway." But that's the actual job. Discipline is what shows up after motivation walks out, and it always walks out eventually. And here's one that stings a little. Your first idea probably isn't the one that pays your bills. I know you're attached to it. You've been turning it over in your head for months, maybe years. But the market doesn't care how much you love it. It only cares if it solves a real problem people will actually pay for right now. Most people who made it didn't strike gold on attempt 1. They pivoted 2, 3, 4 times. The real skill isn't having one perfect idea. It's testing fast, watching honestly, and being willing to drop what isn't working without treating it like a personal failure. Your ego will tell you that changing direction means you lost. It doesn't mean that at all. It means you were paying attention. Then there's the realization that genuinely breaks people the fastest. Nobody is coming to save you. Not your family, even if they're proud of you. Not your friends, even if they're rooting for you in the group chat. Not the algorithm. Not some investor who's going to magically discover your tiny page and change your life overnight. In a job, someone else carries the outcome. There's a manager, a system, a paycheck that lands whether the company had a great month or a terrible one. In your own business, there's no net under you. If you don't show up, nothing happens. If you don't send the message, make the offer, fix the problem, it just sits there, untouched, until you deal with it. For some people, that's terrifying. For others, it's the most freeing realization they've ever had, because it means the results are actually, fully, theirs. Now let's talk about money, because this is where a lot of the quiet lying happens. People love posting the income screenshots. Nobody posts the spreadsheet behind it, the ad spend that didn't convert, the subscriptions stacking up, the months where expenses quietly outran revenue. Here's the part that matters. Most businesses don't die because the idea was bad. They die because the person ran out of money before the idea had time to work. That's usually the whole story. Not lack of talent, not lack of effort. Just, they ran out of runway before the engine had time to start. Which means one of the most underrated skills in business isn't creativity. It isn't hustle. It's patience with your money. Knowing exactly how long you can survive without income and protecting that number like your life depends on it. Because in a very real sense, it does. And here's something that might honestly be the most important part of this whole video. You will feel like a fraud, constantly. It's called imposter syndrome, and almost nobody who's built something real is immune to it. You'll be sitting there, taking someone's money for your product or your service, and a voice in your head will whisper, "Do I even know what I'm doing?" Here's the secret nobody tells you. That feeling never fully goes away. It just gets quieter as you collect more proof that you can figure things out. Confidence in business isn't a personality trait some people are born with and others aren't. It's a byproduct of evidence. You build it one solved problem at a time. So if you're starting out and you feel like a fraud, honestly, good. That means you're doing something that actually matters. The people who never feel that way usually aren't pushing themselves into anything new. Let's talk about loneliness for a second, because this one rarely gets mentioned. When you start a business, you start speaking a language most of the people around you don't speak yet. Your friends are talking about their weekend, their job drama, their next vacation. You're thinking about cash flow and customer churn, and whether your offer is actually solving a real problem. It can feel incredibly isolating, not because the people around you don't care, or they do. It's just that they can't fully relate to what you're carrying. This is why finding even one or two people on a similar path matters so much, not for networking, for sanity, for having someone who gets it when you say, "I don't know if this is going to work," and they don't try to fix it. They just nod, because they've felt it too. Now here's something that might surprise you. Hard work is not actually the bottleneck for most people. I know that goes against everything you've heard, but think about it. Most people who fail in business aren't lazy. A lot of them are working incredibly hard. The real bottleneck is usually working hard on the wrong things. Polishing a logo for 6 hours instead of talking to one potential customer. Redesigning a website instead of making one sale. Busy work feels productive because it's comfortable. The things that actually move a business forward, selling, asking for feedback, putting yourself out there to be judged, those are uncomfortable. So people avoid them and quietly disguise that avoidance as hard work. If there's one line worth remembering from all this, it's that discomfort is usually the direction you need to walk in. Let's talk about failure too, because the word itself has been twisted into something scarier than it actually is. In business, failure isn't usually one dramatic collapse. It's a slow leak. A product nobody wants. A marketing plan that doesn't reach anyone. A price that's wrong, repeated for months without anyone stepping back to ask why. The businesses that survive aren't the ones that never fail. They're the ones run by people who fail fast, notice quickly, and adjust before the damage becomes permanent. Failure isn't the opposite of success in business. It's part of the process of getting there. The only true failure is staying stuck doing the same thing that isn't working, because changing direction feels like admitting defeat. And here's something a little uncomfortable to say out loud. Not everyone is actually meant to run a business. That's not me trying to discourage you. It's me trying to save you years of forcing something that doesn't fit who you are. Some people thrive with structure, clear expectations, a team around them, predictable income. There's nothing wrong with that. Entrepreneurship isn't a higher form of success. It's just a different kind of life with different trade-offs. You're trading stability for ownership, predictability for upside. If everything you just heard makes you even more pulled toward building something, that's a good sign. If it left you feeling exhausted just imagining it, that's information too. Listen to it. So if you're still here, still nodding, still feeling that pull, here's what to actually do with it. Start small enough that failure doesn't wreck you, but real enough that it teaches you something. Don't wait for the perfect idea. Don't wait until you feel ready, because that feeling never fully arrives, not for anyone. Talk to actual potential customers before you build anything. Protect your savings like it's oxygen. Expect to feel like a fraud, and do it anyway. Expect to be bad at this before you're good at it, and let that be okay. The people who make it aren't the ones who had it all figured out from day one. They're the ones who kept adjusting, kept showing up, kept treating every failed attempt as information instead of a verdict on who they are. Nobody tells you the truth about starting a business because the truth doesn't get clicks the way the highlight reel does. But you needed to hear it, not to scare you off, to prepare you. Because the people who actually make it aren't the ones who avoided the hard parts. They're the ones who knew the hard parts were coming and built the kind of mindset that could survive them. If this gave you a different perspective, you know what to do. Stick around, because this channel is built entirely around telling you the parts of this journey nobody else will. I'll see you in the next one.